Self-publishing is easier than ever, but there's still a lot of misinformation that's holding authors back. I'm going to take you through some of the more dangerous and common self-publishing myths. And by the end of this video, you're going to know the truth about them and you're going to feel a lot more confident about your self-publishing journey. So let's get started. Welcome back to Heart Breathings. My name is Sarra Cannon. I have been self-publishing since 2010. So I have seen this industry go through a lot of shifts and changes and a lot of maturity. But I have also seen a lot of authors hold themselves back due to what they think they have to do in order to be successful. Now, I have made a lot of mistakes. I haven't followed all the best traditional advice, but I've still managed to sell over 1 million books during my time as an author and made over $2 million in profit. And I've written 30 books, not all of which have been the exact same sub niche or subgenre, but I have really learned a lot throughout this entire publishing journey. And I'd like to talk about some of these myths that might be holding you back. Myth number one, the market is too saturated. Now, here's the blunt truth of it. It was a lot easier to find readers and sell books back in 2010 because there weren't as many people on the market. There weren't as many books, especially indie books that were lower priced. So really all you had to do was put a great book up at a low price with a decent cover and you would naturally begin to sell books. Things are very different now. And there are a lot of books on the market, a lot of free books on the market, a lot of inexpensive books on the market, a lot of authors who are putting books on the market very quickly. However, visibility is really the problem with saturation, right? When we have so many millions of books to choose from, it gets harder for your book to raise up above the voices and the noise of all the other books around it. But this has really been a problem since, I don't know, 2017, 2018. This has been something that has been going on and been an issue for authors for a while now. And at this point, it's been saturated. It's not going to become more saturated. Saturated is just the breaking point, right? And it's been there for a while. And there are still every day authors who are producing books for the very first time, publishing books for the very first time, and breaking out in genres that were previously considered saturated. Contemporary romance, sexy mafia romance, dark romance. There's a lot of genres of romance that feel oversaturated. Mystery thrillers, psychological thrillers, cozy mysteries, any genre you can think of that people feel like, oh, there's just millions of books available in that genre. There are still new authors coming onto the market and they are finding their readers. So don't worry about the market being too saturated. We might have an influx of AI books. We might have more authors than ever who are writing 10 plus books a year. And it's okay. It doesn't mean that your books are not going to be found. The real struggle is finding a way to make sure that your book matches up with the types of readers that are going to like them. Because after all, you don't have to reach every reader in the universe in order to be successful. If you have 1,000 core readers and you publish a few books a year, you're making a full-time living, right? And so you don't need to meet all of the readers in the world. You just need to find the readers that are going to love your books and be passionate about them and then grow that up in a smart way over time. There are tools available like newsletters, your website, collaborations, cross promotions. There are lots of tools more than ever before to help you find the visibility that you need to find. But in terms of saturation, it's been that way for a long time and people continue to be successful. So I wouldn't let that hold you back. It's never going to be too saturated to the point where new authors aren't able to rise above it. Also, saturation equals opportunity to a degree because the more books there are on the market, the more readers there are. And the more readers and the more books we give them, the more they become loyal fans and the more they talk about it and then get other people into reading. There are probably more readers, like active readers now than there ever have been in the history of the world. And that is only going to increase over time. And when you have a niche that feels saturated, it just means that there's a demand for it. And so when you join in that niche, then you have a chance. There are actually readers dying for their next great read, and they've already read everything that their favorite author put out. So they're just looking for their next favorite author in that genre. There's always going to be room for new voices and fresh takes and fresh perspectives. It also means that there is room, even if it's not the trendiest genre on the market, there's room for these smaller niches as well. You don't have to be writing the trendiest thing to stand out. There are always new niches. There are always new trends. There are always new voices popping up. So trust yourself, write the best book that you can, and And then the main thing is to figure out the visibility problem. How are you going to make sure you understand who your ideal reader is and how you're going to market and package and write that book exactly for those ideal readers? And then how are you going to reach them? That's the biggest problem there is in indie publishing today. And I know that you can overcome it because there are so many tools out there to help you do that. Myth number two, you have to spend thousands on ads to be successful. I can tell you right now that is absolutely not true because I have never really taken out ads. I've done a few BookBub ads here and there, but I've never really done like Facebook cost per click or BookBub cost per clicks or Amazon ads or anything like that. And I've still made millions of dollars. So you do not have to take out a bunch of ads. Think of it this way. It's just another tool in the toolbox. Just like newsletters are a tool, your cover is a tool, social media is a tool. Well, ads are another tool, and they're an extremely powerful tool. If you can truly learn how to take out a great Facebook ad and you have the type of book that will perform well on Facebook, some genres are going to perform better than others just because of the type of audience that is there. Amazon ads might do better for certain kinds of books or books that are in Kindle Unlimited. So you have to put in the legwork to learn the different ad platforms, which one's going to work best for your books. And then you have to focus on your foundation, like we were talking in the previous myth. If we've got saturation and visibility as a problem, and if you want to focus on your Facebook ads and getting your book out there, you have to get really clear about the foundations of your book. That means what genre and what subgenre are you writing? How are you going to categorize your book? What keywords are you going to put in that book? How are you going to hook readers in? Do you know what it is that readers love about that particular genre? And can you make sure that you address all of your marketing to those types of tropes or trends or niches or reader desires? What is it that readers are going to love about your book? And the better you are at pulling that hook and that content and that marketing sort of juice out of your book, the better it's going to sell. So do you have to spend tons of money on ads? No, it's just a tool. There are plenty of us that are successful with mostly organic marketing, and you can absolutely do that. Now, you do have to have some form of marketing. Very few people just throw a book up on Amazon and make $1 million. Probably almost no one does that. You're going to have to learn how to market, but you don't have to use every single tool in the toolbox. Ads is just one tool. You can use it or choose not to use it. If you choose to use it, though, I recommend that you start small. You focus on your book's package and categorization so that you know that when a reader sees that ad, they're going to click on it, they're going to buy your book. That's the most important thing. And also, budget for it. Make sure that you understand how return on investment or ROI works so that you don't go into debt over ads. And then as you make money, reinvest that money so that you can scale up over time. Myth number three, you have to have a huge social media following. Well, this is super intimidating for a lot of authors. Raise your hand in the comments if you're like, oh my gosh, I love writing, but I do not want to have to be on social media all the time. I know you're out there. I personally love social media interaction, community building. It is my jam. I would much rather do that than Facebook ads. But you know what? If you really don't want to be active on social media, you can use that tool of Facebook ads, collaborations, newsletters. There's lots of other ways that you can make your book visible. It's all like a buffet. We talk about this in my Publish and Thrive class, which by the way is starting this week. So if you're seeing this video when it first goes up, February 1st, we start this course, and it is a game changer when it comes to learning all the fundamentals of self-publishing. But we talk about this in right from the kickoff call, that self-publishing is really like a buffet. There's so many dishes that you can try, so many things that you could choose to put on your plate. But if you took a little bit of everything, your plate is going to be overflowing and it's probably going to give you a stomach ache. You don't have to be huge on every single social media platform and run ads on every platform and be involved in all these collaborations. Like most authors who are super successful, and I'm talking multiple six-figure, seven-figure authors, are not doing all the things. They're really honed in on one or two very specific strategies, one or two places where they're really, really active with their readers, or they're all in on ads and they're dialing those in and they're getting really great results from those ads. But you don't have to do all the things. You just have to figure out what is right for you. So if you are holding yourself back because you just really don't want to have to do a lot of social media marketing and things, let me give you a little bit of peace of mind that there are plenty of authors who have very small social media followings or almost no social media presence at all who are making lots and lots of money. A.G. Riddle is a good friend of mine, and he does not have a huge social media platform, but he utilizes things like Kindle Unlimited and advertising and other things like that to get his books up there. Also, if you look at them, like the packaging is stellar, the blurbs are great, the writing is amazing, but he doesn't have to have just like constantly sharing his life and everything that's going on with him on his social media. I know authors who focus almost exclusively on their YouTube channels or their newsletter lists, and they hardly ever have any other type of social media following. My good friend Jana De Leon, she doesn't really have a social media presence either. She has a huge Facebook group, but it's mostly managed by her readers, and it's really all about the books. She writes incredible books, and she doesn't really need or utilize a lot of social media. And the list could go on and on and on. So if you've been holding yourself back from self-publishing because you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to do just like every day 5 TikTok accounts. You don't have to. You can 100% find other ways to sell your books, but the key is just learning what the different tools are and then taking something off the buffet and putting it on your plate and say, this is where I'm going to focus. It doesn't have to be social media, but it does need to be some kind of marketing that's going to get readers to your books. Myth number 4, you have to write to market or write to trend to be successful. So let's clear the air on this because writing to market and writing to trend are two different things. Writing to market is really a matter of understanding the genre itself. It doesn't have to be a trendy genre, just a genre or a sub niche, even if it's a very obscure niche like Amish romance or alien vampires. Like there might be a really core niche that isn't super trendy, but you need to understand what it is that readers love about that niche. What are the tropes? What are the commonalities among the best-selling books in that genre? What do readers really love about it? That's writing to market, is understanding your specific market and then giving readers what they want. And you can actually create your own market, create your own trends, create your own genres. And we have that ability in indie publishing. Like new adult didn't even exist. New adult romance, new adult contemporary didn't exist before indies came around. Reverse harem or why choose, that was not a genre that existed 20 years ago. Indies have evolved and created genres, and you might create your own as well, but really understanding why is it that readers are going to love this? Why are they going to read it? And then making sure that you fill that book with those elements, but in your own unique style. That's writing to market. Writing to trend, however, is really saying, I'm going to deconstruct exactly what's going on with these best-selling books, the books that are at the top of the market. Like right now, we know romantasy is a huge trend. Psychological or domestic thrillers have been a big trend for a while. Dark romance is a big trend. So these trends are shifting a lot. They're changing and evolving, but when you're writing to trend, you're taking the very top, tippiest top of the best-selling books. You're kind of deconstructing exactly what the formula of what makes this beloved by so many readers, and then hitting it really hard and saying, okay, I'm going to write a lot of books in this trend right now. That's kind of writing to trend. Writing to market is any genre. It doesn't have to be the trendiest ones, but understanding what it is that readers love about them. Both of these things can be highly profitable and very successful. But if you are writing a genre that you really cannot properly categorize, it's kind of a mishmash. Like I've talked to writers before who are saying like, well, it starts out what feels like a cozy small town romance, but then by book 8, there's a killer and then they're on the run and now it's a thriller. Like that doesn't really work. There are there's a lot of freedom when it comes to indie publishing and you can write whatever you want, but readers really like to know what they're getting into. They want to know what type of book is this? What is it like? So of course it can be super helpful to understand what is it that readers love about this genre and how can I make sure that I'm fulfilling those reader expectations? Sure. But in terms of you have to write the trendiest, most successful genres in order to be successful, that is really where the myth comes in here because there are so many authors, thousands upon thousands of authors who are not even writing in genres that you even think about, that probably genres that you read at all, authors you've never heard of before who are making bank with their books because they're fulfilling a reader need inside a very small niche. There are also authors, like I said, that are creating their own niches. So Matt Denneman, I just was walking through a Barnes and Noble and saw Dungeon Crawler Carl. Let me know if you have heard of Dungeon Crawler Carl. This is an author. So Matt Denneman is is an author who really started at places like maybe Royal Road or other sort of fan fiction, sci-fi, lit RPG sites. And this was a genre that before maybe like Ready Player One, most people had never even heard of unless they were part of that very small subsection of readers. And yet he really took off with this. He was writing it like fan fiction, like, serialized kind of like Wattpad Royal Road. Then he started a Patreon and he has over 6,000 paid members on his Patreon. And now he has a print deal, probably going to be TV show and who knows what. And there's like merch. And I saw somebody with a Dungeon Crawler Carl pendant. I saw somebody with a backpack. So this is someone who basically helped to shape and create an entire genre called lit RPG. And it is definitely growing. And I think it's going to become a much trendier genre over time. And it's something that when he started it wasn't super well known, certainly wasn't super popular with traditional publishing or anything else, but now he's probably making lots of money and is very successful. Hardcovers in Barnes and Noble, hybrid deals. Yeah, that's happening. Even Colleen Hoover, when she started writing what we called new adult, like her book Hopeless in late 2012, hit the market and went to number one at Amazon. No one had ever heard of Colleen Hoover. No one had ever heard of this new adult. What in the world is this? But she helped to create that along with several other authors. And of course, now we know of how successful and how many millions of books Colleen Hoover has sold. And so you can absolutely take something that is not super trendy and you can make it the trend, or you can write something that just really resonates with you and your passion is going to show through those works. The key when you're writing something off trend or something that is not specific to market is to really think about who is the reader that's going to love this, and is this craft wise, plotting wise, still creating a cohesive, satisfying story. You don't have to write the trendiest genres to be successful. My tip here is write the most marketable thing that you would love to write, something that your passion is going to show through on, and you're going to find your readers. Myth number 5, self-published books can't compete with traditional publishing. So, as someone who has started back in 2010, where all of my friends told me, oh my gosh, this is the dumbest thing you've ever done. You're going to ruin your career. No one will ever touch you, blah, 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 blah. Then moving through an era of people saying self-publishing isn't real publishing. And then people saying, oh, wait, how are you making so much money? Now we have definitely entered an era where people understand that self-published books are, in many cases, selling a lot more and making a lot more money than a lot of traditionally published books. But it's not a competition. So when you say something like self-published books aren't real or they can't compete with what traditional publishing can do for you, why are we trying to compete? This isn't really something that we need to do. Now, are self-published books real quality books? Some are, some aren't. They're all real. We're all real authors, but because there's no gatekeeper on self-publishing the same way that there is with traditional publishing, where you have to be chosen out of a pile, where your book gets polished with an editor and all of that in a traditional format, there are plenty of books on the market of indie publishing, and there will be, Lord knows, a lot more with people just generating AI books without actually putting the work into editing that book. So there are really crappy books that are written by indies that are on the market, but there are also some of the best books ever written are indie books as well. And you have some writers that decide to go hybrid, and there is no judgment as to one being better than the other. They're just different. When it comes to traditional publishing, you've got someone who is going to edit the book, polish it, choose your cover. They know a lot about the industry. They know the readers they're trying to reach. They have a lot more easy distribution to bookstores and access to movie deals and other things like that. There are a lot of things that traditional publishing can do for you that you can't do for yourself as a self-published author. However, on the other hand, with self-publishing, you have so much control. You're the one who gets to say, you know what, that's a trend. I'm going to write it. And that book is on the market in 3 months. We have flexibility. We have agility. We have the ability to write across multiple genres, and no one can say, no, you can't write that book. That's not saleable. Like, you can literally do whatever you want. And that level of freedom is what makes indie publishing so great. You can really do whatever you want. However, there are challenges. Getting your book visible, you don't have those big publishers spending thousands of dollars. But you know what? There are a lot of people who are traditionally published who don't get those end caps either. They pick and choose very select books, but some people are lucky in that way. But indie books, we don't necessarily get those same privileges of, being in bookstores easily and things like that until you have proven yourself. So there are challenges. Also, you got to pay for everything up front, right? Like you're the one who's paying for the edits, you're the one who's paying for the cover art. Plus, you have to make a lot of those decisions. Like a publisher will say, "This is the genre that I choose for this. This is the type of cover that needs to go on it." Whereas when you're indie, you have to make all of those decisions. The benefit there is that you also get to change those decisions. Like this book has had 3 or 4 different covers, and it's sold more each time I've been able to reinvent it. I also have the ability to market my backlist a lot more effectively than traditional publishing can. But there's literally no limit to what you can achieve as an indie author. There's nothing that trad published authors can achieve that we can't also achieve. There are movie deals, TV shows, there are print only books, there are like Lucy Score's books, Frida McFadden, tons of books that are indie books in bookstores right now using publishers like Bloom and hybrid deals. Anna Huang has a new series coming out from Netflix. She is an indie published badass author, and I'm so proud of her for everything that she's accomplished. But there's really no limit. And so there's no like, oh, you can't compete with traditional publishing. Stop trying to compete with traditional publishing. They are very different routes, but each one is viable and each one has its pros and cons. If you choose the indie publishing route, my biggest advice to you is to invest in professional editing. Make sure you understand the type of cover art that's going to appeal to readers of your genre. And again, going back to that idea of knowing exactly what kind of book you've written and how to package it to get maximum visibility, and then learning step by step. You don't have to know it all. Going through the buffet of indie publishing tools and saying, I'm going to try this one, I'm going to try this one, coming into it with an attitude of experimentation. Like I am ready to learn what needs to be learned, and I'm okay falling on my face and then trying something new, and understanding that you don't have all the pressure of like your launch has to be the biggest thing of all time. You can grow over time, and you can reinvent and rebirth old books. You can repackage them. And there's really nothing in the indie world that says, previous not success means that you'll never have success. Any one of you watching this right now who wants to be a successful author can make changes and find the knowledge you need right now to really excel in your self-publishing. If you are ready to take control of your author journey and really get those foundations down and understand what are the tools at my disposal, how can I best package my book so that I have maximum visibility? How can I figure out who my ideal reader is? And then how can I figure out the order of steps that I need to take and create my cohesive strategy so I can sell the most books possible, either on launch, or if you are somebody who already has some books out and you're like, I don't understand why they're not selling, please come join us in Publish and Thrive. We start on Saturday, February 1st. I only run this course 2 times a year, and it might look very different in 2026. So if you want the personal time with me, live Q&As, we do 2 hours of live Q&A where I personally will answer your questions about your strategy, your book covers, your blurbs, your business plans. I will answer all of your questions every single week for those 6 weeks of the course, including not only start a really effective author website for inexpensive fees, but also get your newsletter up and running. So we've got all the tools. We have a huge community. Almost 3,000 authors have now joined and taken this course. And I am so excited for the new group. It's really going to be a lot of fun. So come join us in Publish and Thrive. Otherwise, if now is not the right time for you, or you just don't have the budget for it, then make sure that you leave comments down below and let me know which aspects of these myths or self-publishing are causing you the most fear, that you need the most help with. And I will continue to create free resources and free videos here that will help you on your author journey. Also, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter list yet, I'm going to put a link down below where you can download a list of everything you need to know before you self-publish. So you've got that checklist of all the decisions you need to make. And then you can join my newsletter list and unlock the Heart Breathing's free resource library, which has dozens of resources, including a ton that are going to be added in this year. So let me know which one of these myths has been holding you back, and if you now feel encouraged to take that next step. All right, thanks so much, you guys. Make sure that you're subscribed here to my video, and I will see you in my next video, which is going to be our February Notebook Challenge. All right, see you then. Bye.